Three, two, one, action.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Wrestling in Film podcast, episode 4 by my count. This is your bi-weekly take of my ramblings on the lovely merging of professional wrestling and film/TV shows. Obviously, we've had 2 wonderful interview episodes with the A&E directors, so 2 directors that worked on the WWE A&E series, which was a lot of fun that I had, and I hope you enjoyed listening to them. I had 1 episode celebrating the 30th anniversary of The Princess Bride and Andre the Giant's role as Fezzik, and that was my solo ramblings. But today we changed the system again, and we talk about a topic I'm very, very passionate about, very, very excited to explore with my brother. We are going to be talking about Dave Bautista in Blade Runner 2049. Over 5 years ago, we're celebrating slightly late, by celebrating the anniversary of that film and his role nonetheless. So, but before we do that, welcome my brother Imran.
How's it going, my main man? What is happening?
It is lovely. I'm giving the people what they want. Give me what I want.
Give me. I still remember you watched that, and I freaking hated it. And I thought it just got so annoying. But now I look back at it because I appreciate Dave one. I was like, oh, okay, better play to Dave, man. Bloody hell. He's come a long way, man. Freaking hell, Dave Bautista.
That's the GOAT promo. They're right there. The meme, GIF worthy promo. But yeah, like I said, because as well as this podcast, this is like a nice bonus to just kind of get the thoughts out verbally as well. But I have a feature that celebrated this and discusses this topic as well on Dave Bautista's role in Blade Runner, and how it was such a game-changing role. And I think at the time, me, and our uncle, we went to watch Blade Runner. So 5 years ago, so October 5th, 2017, Blade Runner 2049 hit cinemas. And how soon after it released, I can't recall when we watched it, but we didn't watch it too long after it came out. And I remember going in, I was just like, at that time, as we've talked about before, we thought Bautista had a good career by that point. But now we fast forward 5 years later, and he's just had Dune. He's come off the Avengers movies, the biggest movies in history. He's now heading into Knives Out 2. He's got Knock at the Cabin with M. Night Shyamalan coming out, where he's the lead character. And he's got Dune 2 coming up as well with Denis Villeneuve, who's also, of course, the director of Blade Runner 2049. So he's got all of that. And it's like different projects, right? M. Night Shyamalan's one thing. Rian Johnson's Knives Out is another thing. Dune is a whole other thing. It just shows the range and how he's a legit actor.
Legit badass.
And that's not something, even before we went to watch Blade Runner 2049, he could act, but I don't know if he could say, he's a actor, if you get what I mean. There's that people who can act, there's people who are stars, e.g. like wrestlers. Like if we're going to go with that analogy of wrestlers who transitioned to film successfully, Rock and John Cena are stars, but they're not they're not actors. Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Ryan Gosling, who's obviously in Blade Runner, an actor, like in-depth, real, true actor. Dave is, as funny as it sounds now, or as hilarious as this would have sounded 5, maybe 10 years ago, is in the category of actor.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Freaking hell, man. Yeah, it's just when he first came onto the scene, it's like, whoa, dude, Dave, what's going on, man? What are you doing? This ain't for you. But yeah, now look him starring alongside Ryan Gosling, an actor, and getting into all these big boy movies, man. It's a big move, and you know what? Fair play to him. Respect to Dave for how far he's come. I mean, we appreciate it more, like, well, not just us, but like wrestling fans as well. To see a wrestling dude go into the movie world and succeed in such a way, it's just like nothing but respect and inspirational at the same time. It shows like, yeah, anything's possible, man. Like you could be working in one field and then you could jump over into something else and give it a shot. And if you give it your all, you know what? Sky's the limit. Like right now you're doing, this podcast, you're doing everything that you're doing at the moment. You could jump in to become a professional footballer if you really wanted to. If you put your mind to it, you could be a success as well. So anything is possible, man. And Dave like really shows that, which is what I find really motivational about him as well.
Yeah. I remember saying 5 years ago, and I can't remember if it was after Blade Runner, or maybe not 5 years ago, but a couple of years ago, like maybe shortly after Blade Runner. And I remember saying then, Dave's a better actor than The Rock. But at that time, it was still almost taboo to be like any wrestler could be better than The Rock, because Rock was the standard bearer, justifiably so. He basically made all this possible for people to come and follow in footsteps and have success in film. But by that point, I'd still seen enough. So this was after Blade Runner, but Blade Runner, Guardian, and then combined with Guardians, and then maybe one or two other films along with that, I was like, I think he's a better actor than The Rock. Like, because he was going that a little bit deeper, and you're like, oh crap, like he can do this. He can do Drax, and he can be funny and silly and big and muscular and, the animal. But then he can do Blade Runner, and he can just be this old man and slightly weak and quiet and stoic, but might actually make you feel, which in all of Rock's career, I had that level of feel, and to say so little but make you feel, that's a skill that very few actors can actually attain. And that's a real skill. Like it's like when to use a wrestling analogy, remember when Triple H and Undertaker did that promo when they said nothing?
Oh yeah, that one.
And they just did, and they just pointed to the sign, and everybody knew what they were saying, and they went nuts. But that's a skill.
Yeah,
that is a skill, right? To actually just to speak without speaking.
Yeah.
And Rock's skill is to actually literally speak. I don't know if he can always say a lot and make you feel that much without speaking. He doesn't have that depth of as an actor. And yet, to our surprise, Dave did. Because like, let's say, like, we talked about this before, but what was your impression of Dave post, like before this, like post WWE and going into film? Like, what was your thought of Dave and him trying to be an actor?
I thought, yeah, all right, mate. Good luck with that one. That's a big step for you. Obviously, this is like back in the day, and so it's like the mindset and stuff is a lot different. But I thought, okay, yeah, cool. Dave's going to film. Oh, he's copying The Rock. All right, then go try copy The Rock, but you're not going to be as good as The Rock, mate. So you could try all you want. So it's kind of like that approach, which is a bit unfair. Like you're not giving him a chance, but obviously mindsets are different back then and stuff. Because he was brilliant in the ring. Like his matches were great. Not all of them, but obviously he has really, really good matches, and he was a star in it, like you said. So it was very, very good, and you appreciated him. Well, a lot of people didn't, but some people did. And when he started getting into Hollywood world, it was like, oh mate, no chance. And then eventually, when he got into Guardians, is when he was Drax, and then we all went to see Guardians, and then when he's like talking, the stuff he said was so funny as well. He goes, nothing goes over my head, and that's that sort of thing. That's when he's like, oh shit, all right, Dave, that's well played, man. I love it.
Yeah.
And then then slowly it built up, didn't it? And then it's just like, but at that point, I didn't really care about Dave at all. Not in that sense, like, oh, I don't care if he dies or this. I didn't really care about what he was doing. I would be more interested in like The Rock and all these other actors and Ryan Gosling and all these guys, like what they're doing. So Dave Bautista, what he was doing, it was just like over my head. I was like, oh no, I don't really care. You were all right with it. You were talking about it and stuff, but really I didn't give a damn. Till only recently when less than a year ago, when I really started to watch Dave and appreciate Dave. But obviously I did appreciate him when it came to Blade Runner. But when I first took notice of him as like, this guy's going somewhere, where you're getting like a little sense like, oh, if this guy keeps going, he's gonna be somewhere soon. That was when I watched him in Spectre. And then like, he had very few words, but his actions and everything was saying otherwise. I was like, oh, whoa. This guy's something different now. What's going on? Then it came to Blade Runner, and that changed everything.
Yeah. No, because to be fair, I didn't watch Spectre until really late. And maybe even after Blade Runner. So I didn't actually see his performance in that. But I was like, kudos to him for getting the role, because it's like that was still growing his career. Because I mean, being in James Bond, that's massive. But
massive, yeah.
But like it was still, and I mentioned this in the upcoming feature that I write about this topic in the film, in the new Film Hounds issue that's coming out. That role in Spectre is the stereotypical wrestler role though in Hollywood. Like we're going back like 40 maybe more years. That's the stereotypical role, right? The perspective, still to an extent, of wrestlers in Hollywood is you're big, you're muscular, and that's all you've got. So
and
you're just gonna
beat the shit out of the guy.
And then eventually get killed or whatever it is. So, and literally you can go back in time and see that again and again and again and again. Like the cameos that they used to do in TV shows or movies or whatever. It's just they're the big person's there and they're in the background and they have a little fight and that's it. And so even though there was a little bit more to Dave's role, like the subtleties, like his entrance in that and in the big meeting.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah.
When you watch it, like he's the way he does it is actually really, really good. Like it's just the stoic nature. He's smooth and his delivery is like subtle. So and his transitions from like just calm and then boom, and when he like whacks his head down and he like whacks it, and then gouges his eyes out. But if you gave that to another wrestler, they're gonna go like really over the top and hammy and like be like like do all that stupid stuff. but like Dave's so smooth and you're like, like it's cool. And like but even more vicious because he's just so calm about it. And like he switches really nicely. Yeah, so that's
what's important, man. Like Dave walking into that room, that's what changed it. That's what I think, I'm pretty sure from what I remember, that was his like first appearance like on screen in Spectre.
Yeah.
Where he just entered the room, and then that's when I was like, oh crap, man. There's something different about it. He's making his presence known in a certain way, and how he's acting is a bit different compared to like obviously Guardians and stuff. And I was like, okay, this guy's got something. Man, he's good.
Because if you watch like Hogan in a film or even Cena's early work, like they're like go in, and if even something like that, like the simple things, their facial expressions are just like really over the top. And then when they grab someone, they're like do all that stupid, like those over the noises. That, to be fair, we probably do as well as like not trained actors, but they just have a tendency to go over the top. But Dave like didn't. But I did say like, but that role, even though he did do generally really, really good, and it's really impressive looking back in hindsight, it didn't really change for him because he was still labeled as he's just the muscle guy. So he's still the same basically. He was still the animal. He was still the wrestler. But it wasn't until Blade Runner where I think that even changed, and even Dave himself has said that's what changed it for me. That's what made me, because he wanted to be vulnerable and he wanted to show a human side, and nothing until Blade Runner allowed him to do that.
Do you think, I don't remember hearing about it or anything, he must have said it in an interview, but do you know like what his reaction was when he got casted in Blade Runner?
I can't remember his reaction, but I do remember like reading and like listening afterwards. Like he got refused. He got refused a couple times. like Denis wouldn't. I think it's. I don't know if it's Dennis or Denis. I keep saying Denis, but
Yeah, it could be either one.
but he basically, and that's another thing. Like Denis is like a very specific director, right? So intricate. There's layers in his films, so you can't just do things and they can't just be flashy for the sake of flash. It's everything is like a lot of reason, a lot of meaning behind his films. They call it a cinema of ambiguity, his films, because everything has a meaning. Everything is like nothing is just done for the sake of being done. There has to have meaning, and there has to be something behind the words and actions of people.
Damn, that's a good word. What was that word? I never heard of that word.
Cinema of ambiguity. That's how someone labeled it. But like so like that also shows how the depth of someone that acts in Denis films. You can't just say words. You have to really be able to translate more than just what's on the script.
100%,
so like so just to be accepted by that kind of director is a huge thing. But Denis wanted someone that was, because I think Dave's character is in the realm of like 50s, 60s, like in terms of the age. Sapper Morton, his character. So he thought Dave was too young to play the character.
Okay.
I don't think his size maybe had much of an issue. I think it was more the fact that Dave was just too young, and Dave was probably mid 40s by that point or something like that. So he just didn't even let Dave audition. But eventually, I think Dave, he did like push through, and he finally let him audition, and he did really well. And they were like, oh crap, like, so he did really good performance. And I think, and then they tested the makeup, and then they basically they managed to make him look old enough that then they were like, okay, yeah, you can do it. So like that in itself, like he impressed and got in with Denis to show that he could do it, and then obviously did what he did. Because going into Blade Runner, I know like for example, you said you didn't really care about Dave too much then. So and obviously I just historically, even before I've done all this stuff and I started writing, I used to always just be obsessed. And even like films that were not that good, but if it was a wrestler involved, I used to watch it. And I used to just try and hope that something good comes out. But when Dave was doing good, I was like, okay, cool, Dave's actually doing some good films. So okay, and then this should be good. Ryan Gosling's in it. I know the first Blade Runner, etc. So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. So I basically went to watch it for Dave. I didn't know how much he was being in it, but I was like, yeah, Dave's in it, so let's go watch it. I wasn't that interested in the film too much as itself, but you guys, you and our uncle were obviously fans of the director because you'd seen like prisoners and stuff like that, and obviously Gosling was in it, and Jared Leto was in it, and Harrison Ford was in it, so there was all that. So you probably guys were all excited about all that kind of stuff. Well, I was just like, well, I like Harrison Ford, but I was just like, yeah, Dave.
Yeah. Denis was something else, man. Like, I was on a run with because I was asking Uncle what good movies there to watch, and he provided me with Prisoners. I was like, yeah, wicked. So I watched Prisoners. That was amazing, and I love Jake Gyllenhaal as well. And then he said, yeah, watch Enemy. I was like, all right, wicked. That's Denis as well. And Enemy freaked me out at the end, man. That's a film that you need to watch for Denis. Yeah, and then that's when I really appreciated Denis' work, and from there it just became like my favorite director that you can possibly get. And then we went into watch Blade Runner, and I was like just blown away by everything, how he made it, story, everything along those lines, twists, and then just every actor in the film as well, like just knocked it out of the park, and including Dave, which took me by surprise. Like when I said I was watching him in Spectre, and I was like, oh, he's got something here, but he's like, oh, he's got something here, that's cool. But then when you watch Blade Runner, it was like, that was just like those 5 minutes just like took it off. And the thing is, when it was in Blade Runner, it was just like surprised at how old he was. I didn't like what you just said there. Yeah, when you said, oh, he wants to be 50, 60, I didn't know. Like, I don't know if like Sapper needs to be that age or whatever. But when you said he has to be that, that just makes me appreciate even more up till now. Like, yeah, we're like 5 years down the line, and it just makes you appreciate it even more knowing those little facts as well. So, man, you know what? Dave working with Denis was just like a blessing in disguise, and he just like shot him up like a million times in the rankings, I would say personally.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite actually memories. Is I remember watching it, and like because like Uncle has he gave me some thoughts, and then I used some of his quotes in a little bit of his quotes in the feature that I wrote as well, and I expected the exact same thing. I was like, yeah, Dave's just probably going to have a small role and have like a fight scene with Gosling or something, and that's it. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that, because by that point, like I said, I didn't know the depth of Dave's acting. So, but
Yeah.
I was like, oh, great, another big film, and good on him for it. And then that scene is not really action heavy. It's
No,
like
it's
it's like a minute of
minute.
action, yeah, of
Yeah.
actual action of like the 5-6 minutes. And like you said, the age, I didn't really know the age or anything. I didn't know that much about the film beforehand. And he comes in and like he said, like Dave said, he wanted to humanize himself and he wanted to distance himself from like the animal and being this big rugged tough guy. And in that he walks in and he's old, and then like when he goes in and he just washes his hands, what's the first thing he did? Like one of the things he does is put on these like broken old glasses, and he's just like quiet and he doesn't really say much. And like Gosling's like kind of like confident, hey, like what you doing? Like he's talking and Dave's just quiet and just like doesn't really look at him. And you're like, that's when he's like, oh crap, like he's just like this simpleton. And almost like and you know, like because he knows what's coming. Like the whole time his face, you can see like, oh, he knows like, oh yeah, Gosling's he's here to kill me basically. And you almost feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Like without knowing, you're
him,
like, yeah, without knowing, you're like, oh yeah, and he knows what's coming, and he's gonna die, and okay, like so he's not like that big like ugly monster like we were just like, oh yeah, he's just there and Ryan Gosling's gonna kill him, yay. It's actually you actually feel more for Dave than you do the good guy of the story, which is called Gosling.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember like when he made his entrance to that scene and he was like walking very slow. I noticed when he does a lot of slow things and like the way he moves, that he can just he can captivate you just like that. Like Inspector, how he made his entrance into the hall. He did it in his own way and it captivated you like, oh, wicked, man. So same here with Blade Runner. He made his entrance very slow and stuff and he walked over. And even when he's like washing the dish and Gosling's talking to him, I just love the part. I smirked at this part. I remember that because I was like, is that Dave freaking out? And he didn't even say anything. He was just there washing dishes and he just looked at him and looked back. I don't know, is this something small about it? I was just like, oh wow, okay, Dave, all right, he's gonna something's big coming here. And then the whole scene, he just like freaking nailed it.
Yeah. Even like because he doesn't actually speak that much in the scene either. A lot of it's just reacting off of what Gosling says. And it's the odd word here and there. And Gosling almost fills in the blanks about like, oh, he used to be an army medic. Like in this, and then he used to like you know, and he was, oh, he must have gone through hell, so like, oh, this guy's actually been through a lot. And him being a medic, you're like, oh shit, like this guy is not just this big bad dude, he was a carer and he helped people and this and that. And obviously we know he's an old replicant now, obviously that's why Gosling's there. But all these things, and he's like, he doesn't do anything, he's just a farmer, he's just living a casual life. So that's like all of that. So him not saying anything as well, and getting across all that thing and all that emotion, and you kind of feeling like, oh man, like, oh, he's actually a decent guy. Like, but it's in his face. So you're just like subtly like, wow, like captivated by this. And then, but when he does speak though, it lands because like the ending when like, you know, Gosling just is like, oh, like we don't like, you know, he says, you know, what does it feel like killing your own kind? He's like, oh, like we're like, you know, we're the new models, and you know, we don't run, only the old new models do. And he's like, oh, you new models are like happy scraping the shit because you've never seen a miracle. But the way he does it, and then they just like, and you don't even know what that means though. Like, you know, that's the cinema of ambiguity. You don't actually really know what it means. But that line basically is the whole film.
Yeah.
That's the responsibility that Dave has in the whole film. He literally has to set the tone for the whole film. And if he doesn't do it, the film actually kind of falls apart a bit.
That's just crazy. Bloody hell. Yeah.
Like, because that's because
really thought of that.
Because Denis said to Dave, he's like, Dave doesn't like reading the whole scripts of films, like that he's a fan of, because he's like, I don't want spoilers. So he's like, oh, I don't want to know. I want to watch it afterwards.
No way.
And especially because he knew he was just in it for 5 minutes. He's like, I'll just read my scene and that's it. But Denis like, no, you have to read the whole script, because he's like, you need to understand what the film is to do this scene. And I didn't, and then it's only when I rewatched it, when I was doing the research for the article, where you're like, oh crap, like literally he sets the tone for the whole film. And like at the end of the film, there's the link when he meets like the community of women that would basically talk about Sapper, and they were like, spoiler alert, those who are listening, but they're like, oh, Sapper knew that you were going to kill him. He gave up his life, and he knew this. He let you do it, and you're like, oh my god, like all the links that come together. But literally, like, but if he doesn't hook you, because he those words, the way he says it, you're just like, oh, what the hell does that mean? And it literally, and like Gosling, like it plays on his because they reverberates in when he's driving back. It's like, like it plays like Bautista's that line again, but it's the same for us. We're just like, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? And that's Denis films all the time. Everything's, you're just like, what does it mean? What does it mean? But Bautista is in charge of making us for the whole 2 hour 45 minutes, making us think, what does that mean?
5 minutes. That's what he needed. 5 minutes, and he set the tone for the whole film.
Yeah,
that's just crazy, isn't it?
And then that, like I said, that was, and then like I don't fully appreciate it. I like now, like really going into it in deep like dive. And I'm like, wow, like what the hell? Like that's incredible. But we did appreciate it then, because remember when we came out of the cinema, and I don't know if I started the conversation or if you did or Uncle did, but one of us said, we were like, hey, like that, like Dave was pretty good. And then the rest of us, we were just like, yeah, he was. Like that was really good.
Right. Couldn't even deny it. We're like, oh crap, yeah, it was good, man. Because I can't remember we mentioned it, but I can't
remember if it was me, because obviously I was the bigger fan of Dave, and I was like rooting for him all the way, and I was like, yeah, like Dave was good. And I think even you guys, when you guys chimed in as well, you're like, yeah, that was really good. That was like really impressive.
Couldn't even say anything bad about it. Like we couldn't even like trying to come up with something like, nah, he wasn't that good because of this. It's just like, yeah, damn, he was all right, man. He was pretty good in this one. Freaking hell, took us by surprise.
But that was the thing, innit? We saw him be all flashy and big, but he literally took all that away. We didn't see his muscles or anything. He just looked old and brittle.
Like, yeah, it was all fully covered in. Like,
and he was and quiet, and he did what he did. And that's still my favorite thing of us. Just all like, we almost like quietly, we were just like, damn, he was good.
That's when the appreciation for Dave came in a bit more. Yeah, but it's mad. Like just those 5 minutes is like the best acting that any wrestler's probably done, isn't it? Like a wrestler coming into film, comparing all of them that have done it in the past to now. Those 5 minutes that Dave's done probably being their entire acting that they've done in all the films they've done, in my opinion.
Probably, yeah. And even I don't know if Dave has had a better performance than that.
Yeah, and it's 5 minutes, man. Freaking hell.
But I mean, that shows, because I think, like I said, like that's how in 5 minutes and with so few lines, look how deep and how much impact he had on a film that people regard as a classic, people absolutely adore critically, and like another great Denis film. Yeah. But look what he did in 5 minutes, and look what Rock and Cena and other wrestlers in the past have not been able to do.
Nah, exactly. Because I was having this conversation with my manager, because they know like I love The Rock at work and stuff, and then I was like, oh, yeah, anybody gonna watch Black Adam? Like I'm coming out on Friday, and then they were like, oh yeah, we don't know, and then the manager's like, yeah, it looks pretty crap to be fair, mate. I was like, whatever, man. And then someone else said, oh no, Rock's an amazing actor. And even I know like Rock is not like an amazing actor. He's just like, he's an entertainer. He does like pretty much the same thing. So I didn't bother saying anything. And then mine just like, no, he's not really an amazing actor. He does pretty much the same thing in every film. He's the same person in every film if you really think about it. And I was like, yeah, he's just an entertainer. And that got me thinking. I was like, you know what, man? I don't know if these lot will even know how good Dave Bautista is. They're probably like, really, Dave? Until they see what he's actually done. They got me thinking as well. I was like, yeah, Dave is like, in my opinion as well now, like just the best actor that's come from the wrestling world into film. So he's come a long way, man. Like to outdo The Rock in acting, it's just like and be accepted by it. It could be by a lot of people for all we know. Obviously, he's not like a global box office star like Rock, because Dave takes different films, which is wicked, man. Like he takes really, really different roles. It's not the standard, excluding Guardians, of course, but all the other films are just like different, man, compared to standard, funny, blockbuster like these type films. It's very, very different, and he doesn't just, you can tell he doesn't just take a film on, yeah, go on and why not. You can tell, I bet he takes his time to think about it, and really it gives him a really big reason to take it on, and then he just dives 110% into that role and dedicates himself to it 110%, isn't it? So
yeah, I mean, he out and out refused, like on Twitter, like I'm not going to be in like a Fast and Furious film because I want to be in good films. I mean, it's quite funny. I mean, it was a bit savage, but I was like,
savage.
But I was
Damn,
like, you know,
I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm more or less, I think, along those lines. He said something like that, where basically he's like, yeah, no, I want to be in like actual good films, like real more deep films, and
which is fair.
Yeah,
Something
and
different.
like, and he said like from the get go, he's like, I don't want to be a star, I want to be an actor. Like I think he's tried to consciously be a little bit more of a star, but be a little more of a leading role, so he has more power, like creatively. But he wants to be an actor, and he's just gone from strength to strength as an actor. Like he is legit. Like I don't think, even though there's still a stigma, because that's just the way it's been for so many years, there was like, oh, that's the wrestler. So people who don't understand or don't fully watch what he's done with a more of an observant eye, don't fully appreciate what he's done. And again, because he's not the obvious charismatic figure like Rock, so he's kind of he's less glamorous, so he's less appealing than Rock to like the everyday Joe, because like Rock's more appealing to like every person on the street because he's so cool and so charismatic. Like, but like from a pure talent standpoint, as an actor, I suggest him like 3 or 4 movies of Dave over Rock.
You know what? The way I'm looking at it, now that you said that, it's just like I see Rock as like he's Superman in the real world, where everyone loves him, wants to be him. And Dave is more like Batman. He's very precise, tactical. He chooses what he's going to do, thinks about it a lot more. And like you say, it's just, I just thought of that when you said like, oh yeah, Superman's the type of guy that's loved by everyone and everything like that. So that's got me thinking, oh yeah, Rock is Superman and David Batman. Freaking nice. I just thought of that. Well played.
That's probably true, yeah, because then there's more layers to like a character like Batman, and some like the people like that. Especially back in the day, I think those who were like more intricate and loved a bit more depth, they like Batman. But with the people who loved the glamour, should we say, Superman might have been the more appealing person. And I think it's probably a fair analogy. I think it's quite fun, actually.
Yeah, I know. I just really thought that. Now it's like, oh crap, man. Yeah, this one, that's a really good one.
Yeah.
But now Dave, he's just like, we're going to hear it first that one day in the future, Dave is going to win an Oscar.
If anyone can, and anyone
from the wrestling world.
Yeah, Dave. Right now,
okay, or at least minimum nominated.
Yeah. If anyone's going to get to that level, it's going to be Dave. Like 100%. I don't think there's no doubt. Like Cena's doing wonderful in Peacemaker, and I think he's doing even more than. But that's one role that's tailor made for him so well. Beyond that, like he might do a good job in other films, but to the level that Dave is doing film in, film out, I don't think Cena has that in him. Which again is not a knock. That's just the level of talent and actor that Dave is.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is us saying from the perspective we had of Dave when he left wrestling, and we were like, nah, he can't talk, not that well, and so how is he going to be an actor? And he's the guy leading the pack as a pure actor over The Rock and Cena.
Freaking mad, and you can't believe it. You think back now, you're like, man, what the hell was I even thinking, man? Like, not giving David a chance, thinking he's this. But you know, that was probably what he wanted to do at the back of his mind as well. Like, he knew he was probably getting a lot of shit from people, like online or whoever, could be in his life, or we don't know. But it could be like, oh, Dave, what are you doing, mate? So he's probably got in the back of his mind, like, you know what? No, I'm going to do what I want to do, but at the same time, I'm going to show you what I can do.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's done it, man. Like, you can't deny the fact that how great he is and what he's done. Like, up until now, it's just like mind blowing. And yeah, I can watch some of his films over again. Like even the littlest one, like My Spy. Yeah, I mean, it's not amazing. It didn't do amazing, great. Like, don't really give a shit about that. But the film is just like a fun film, man. He's really good in it as well. I really like his performance in it.
So that, I mean, that shows like, so he can, in a way, like maybe not as like that, something like that kind of film. I think Rock does better than Dave, because Rock has more of the charisma for that type of film. But
Yeah.
like he can still do it.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, 100%.
But then he can switch gears and do Blade Runner, Dune, like he's going to do Knock at the Cabin now. You know, that looks really exciting. And that Knock at the Cabin was because of Blade Runner.
Hell,
He got
something I
cast.
haven't heard.
He got cast because of his performance in Blade Runner. M. Night Shyamalan cast him in Knock at the Cabin.
That's why there you go. It kind of says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh man, I did not know that.
Because he was like, and you know, we kept talking about like this, him doing so much while he's still, and just being still, like, and not doing a lot, but he's does so much, like just some facial expression, just how he stands. M. Night Shyamalan said, I can't remember the exact quote. I put it in the article, but he said something like, there's a type of stillness where you're not doing nothing physically because you're standing there, but you're doing everything. And he's like, that's what Dave does. And he's like, that's the level, next level. He's like, and I think if you go carry on reading the article or the interview, he says like, there's people who I can look at their back and I can understand what's going on. And he's like, that's like Dave. That's like Dave. I think I remember that part correctly. But the stillness part, definitely. And that's 100%, like, that's literally all we're talking about. And that's what Emmet said. And that's my cast of him.
No freaking way. I did not know that. Oh, fair play, man. Yeah, just goes to show he's appreciated as well, isn't it, by these big boy directors and stuff.
Yeah. And this is 5 years later now. This is coming up, but that's because of Blade Runner. And that proves that what Dave said as well, that Blade Runner is really the game-changing film for him, because he's gone on to make films like Dune and Denis. He won over a director like Denis. He's still making Guardians and films with James Gunn. He did the leading role in the Netflix with Zack Snyder. Obviously now he's doing M. Night Shyamalan's. He's doing Knives Out. So, but that proved to everybody, holy crap, he can act.
The dude can act, bro. The dude can act.
And even us wrestling fans that were doubted him, like, and I hate to say it now because I've always been a fan of Dave for the most part, but then I was like, damn. But I'm glad. It's like a story. I'm like, yeah, you go, boy. You go, son.
Yeah. Oh, mate. Yeah. It's just, personally, I've liked everything that I've seen Dave in. Army of the Dead, and now Knock at the Cabin, man. That's just going to be watching that trailer and how fat he is. It's just like, oh shit, guy, you put on weight for this film. And then it's just, you know what, it's, even though what you said about M. Night saying, oh yeah, it's just how he like stands there, and this is like that still like presence and stuff. He kind of does that in the trailer as well, where he says some lines but he's just standing there, but it's the way he's saying it, and you can hear how he's breathing and the way he's like saying his words. It's just like, oh my god. When I first watched the trailer, I was like, shit, man, this is going to be really, really good. It might not be a great film because M. Night's a hit and miss sometimes, but David is going to freaking nail that role 110%. That's the first thing I said after I watched the trailer. I was like, David's going to nail this role, nail it to the wall. Looks like something that's going to be very different. This is the wicked thing about M. Night. Sometimes he can just make something entirely out of the blue, and it's something different that you've never seen. And to have Dave in it just makes you appreciate it a lot, man. Makes you appreciate it a lot more.
Definitely. Even from my obviously from my standpoint, with what I like to look at, that's just like, it's another really, really exciting thing. I'm just like, oh, now Dave's going in this realm, and Dave's going in this realm. It's just like another layer for him to prove that, like, he's that damn good.
Yeah, and like him in Dune 2 as well. Like, I'm hoping he has a bigger role in Dune 2. I haven't finished reading the book yet, so I don't know where exactly up to, like, if he has a bigger role. But even if he does have his small parts and stuff, he still nails it like he did in the first Dune movie.
Yeah, it was great.
Like, it's very, 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 very good. And man, there's a lot more to see for Dave in the future. I'll tell you that much right now.
Yeah, no, they're really excited. And I just want people to that was one of the big reasons of writing the article as well. That's coming out. So in end of this month, early November, the next Film Hounds issue, I have a big feature in about Dave Bautista. It's play his performance in Blade Runner, and then it's the game-changing performance of Dave Bautista in Blade Runner 2049. And I just really wanted to highlight that how significant that was. And not only now looking at it, not only is it significant for his career and what he's done, but it's significant for wrestlers transferring over into Hollywood and what actually can be done. Because even though Rock broke the mold and Rock set the trend, there was then the cap of, but they can only do this, like the fun stuff. There's the level you can go to, which is fair enough. The level of success Rock has, he's the biggest Hollywood star. So I'm not sure many people are complaining, including him. But Dave's knocked the stigma of how talented a wrestler can be as an actor, and that he can go with Ryan Gosling, with a where he can go with a Ryan Gosling, he can go with goodness, how many actors were in Dune that were like on another
whole
level,
freaking world.
But like he can go with them, and he doesn't look out of place. Like he's just another one of those really talented actors.
Yeah. So one other thing I like about Dave is I was listening to his interview on Jonathan Ross years ago, and he openly says like, well, I'm not like your standard Hollywood actors, which is what I like. And then he also openly said like he doesn't really, don't quote me on it, because it's something along the lines of like he doesn't really like working with Disney. And that, to me, that's a freaking massive thing, man. Like someone openly saying like, I don't really like working with Disney, or I have a hard time working with Disney. It's just like, shit, man. Like everyone is a standard Hollywood, like, I love Disney, man. But deep down, they're like, no, I don't really like him. Dave's just like open book. He's like, no, I don't like it. And this is the reason as to why. And I like how articulate he is with his answers and what he says, which just nails it to the ground as well. And then on top of that, like when I'm watching, I watched his scene in Blade Runner not too long ago as well. And I always look on the YouTube comment sections, and then I see it and I'm just like, it's all about, Dave Bautista smashed it. Dave Bautista did this. Dave Bautista had 5 minutes and he did this. This is amazing. And then I looked at the comment section and Knock at the Cabin, and it's just like, the funniest comment was, whenever Dave is wearing glasses, he's gonna nail this role because he wears glasses. I was like, oh shit, that's so true. I was like, oh mate, some of that comments just make me laugh, man. Like everyone, like just all the comments you're seeing are just praising Dave, and it's just like, mate, fair play, Dave. You made it big time, man, big time.
Yeah, no, 100%, and it's just really exciting, and I hope he carries on, and he will carry on, because he's just now he's literally, the ball's really rolling, and he's going to do amazing things. And I hope moving forward he can get the full respect of on the similar level of Rock, what Rock's done, because Rock, to his credit, will always be number one because he broke the mold, and he made this all happen. So he will always be king for that reason. Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
But in another level, Dave's breaking the bar. He's setting the bar, and he's breaking the mold in a whole new way. And he now deserves that respect that I think in some ways Rock gets more than anybody else.
Yeah, I think it's good as well. Like Dave is now exiting like the superhero realm. So like he's finishing off with Draxony in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Because the superhero realm is becoming very tiring and stuff now, and it's just it's getting overwhelming and stuff. There's too much going on. You have to keep up with everything.
Yeah, repetitive in a way.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, kind of done for a while with the superhero stuff, like with Marvel especially. Like, don't get me wrong, they do great stuff, but nowadays I'm just like, I'm just like, I kind of have to watch it to like connect to this, connect to that.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was just the films and stuff. But now it's wicked that Dave's exiting that, and then he's just going into other directions, other films. So just like,
but they're equally as exciting, or if not more exciting in a way. Like Knock at the Cabin. Like we're just like, oh wow, like what the hell? What's this?
Yeah, man. Like I would choose that over a lot of films that are coming out. Just like if you show me a trailer for Knock at the Cabin and a trailer for, I don't know, could be anything, like a superhero, any superhero film, exclude Superman, and then I'll be like, oh shit, man, yeah, I'm gonna watch Knock at the Cabin.
Mm.
Like it's just one of those because this, like, okay, over Black Panther 2. I'm not really fussed about Black Panther 2. I'll be more interested to see Knock at the Cabin. Just because of how it looks, and because like I said, I'm getting tired of the superhero stuff. Like I want to watch more different films and that are proper films, man. Like, you know, not proper films, but like proper, where it's just like there's a wicked story, there's acting, it's just not all superheroes, this. We've had a great fun with that. We had Endgame, which was amazing. We had all the previous Batman films. You get odd few hero films here and there, which is cool to watch, but to spend all your time watching it, it's just very so to have Dave like dive it off elsewhere, it's just really good. Rock's entering, which is cool, but he's entering in DC, which is wicked because they're like, there's not much going on in DC at the moment. It's very limited. They haven't got this coming out, like scattered around very quick. So that doesn't count. That's really cool. But with the Marvel world, for Dave to leave that and go somewhere else and just spread his wings, should we say, and show the world, yeah, I'm gonna freaking take everything by storm. And my man's doing it, man. Like fair play. And also, when I listened to this interview in Spectre, he was getting interviewed by this guy. This just goes to show how good of a person he is, man. I really rated him for this. This dude was interviewing him, and then he was asking him a question. Dave answered it, and then the guy was asking him another question. But someone behind the scenes, I go, "Oh, that's it, time's up." And he goes, "Oh, sorry." And Dave was like, "No, can we do one more?" And then he was like, "Okay." And they were like, "Okay, go ahead." And the guy's like, "Oh, thanks, Dave." And then in the comment section, you read it because I was like, "Oh shit, fair play, Dave." Everyone appreciated that. Like, look at Dave. Any other Hollywood actor would be like, "Okay, cool, yeah, all right, take care, see you later, next one," or however it works. But Dave Risco shows he was really enjoying the interview, and he really wants to. It's like he wants to give back to people as well, and he understands where they're coming from, which is what I appreciate Dave a lot more, like on a personal level as well. Not to say personal like I freaking know him, but like how he is as a person. It's just like very, very inspirational, man. Like how he's just straight up. He appreciates what you're doing, and he gives you the time of day. And yeah, he's just wicked, man. I love it. Like, yeah, 110%. I'm a Dave fan through and through.
Yeah, jump on the bandwagon. Fine, took you long enough.
Yeah, I did. It did take me a long time, and I was just like, didn't give him the time of day, and I just think back like, shit, man, I should have given him the time of day. Yeah, now I'm glad I'm on it. Like, I'm on the Dave wagon, man. I ain't getting off this. And I'm just like, I'm gonna tune into everything he's doing.
He's brilliant, and like he is such a cool guy. He's real, and he's real talented too. So works both ways.
He just doesn't give a shit, does he? He doesn't care about. Like I said about the whole Disney thing, he doesn't care. Like if he's openly saying that, he just really, really doesn't care, and he just says it how he is. But he does. He tries to say it in a way where it's just not going to offend anyone, but he's just expressing his feelings. Yeah, which is good. And also, you did mention Stuber, man. Stuber was like the first. When I recently got into like Dave's movies, like, Stuber was the first one I mainly watched, excluding Guardians. And I really pissed myself laughing like so much throughout that movie. Like, I thought it was just so funny.
Him and Kamal had good chemistry. That was the best thing about that movie. They worked pretty well
together. Yeah. The movie wasn't spectacular, but him in it and like Kamal was just like so funny, man. I was just like laughing so much. Mrs. was looking at me like, "You right, you weirdo." I was like, "Don't you think this is bloody funny? Isn't it wicked?"
My one, if we're going given recommendations, I mean, obviously Blade Runner being the foremost, is C season 2. That's for me is if it's not 1, it's 2. Like after Blade Runner, that's his best performance is C.
Yeah, that's another good thing. It's a good thing you mentioned that because I remember I was watching him on Celtic Warrior workouts with Seamus. Yeah, and he was talking about C and what you had to do, and was it that? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that, or it was on men's health, and he was like talking about what's in his fridge and working out. It was one of them, and then he was talking. This is what I meant about how into his role he gets. He was like, "Yeah, so I'm blind on C season 2, and I physically I worked with a blind guy." And then he told me what to do and stuff because he said, "Oh yeah, normally blind people they think blind people will go touch stuff like that." But he's like, "Nah, what they normally do is they do like the back of their hand instead of front."
So I could say, "Oh, they touch with the back of the hand instead of front."
Yeah, I think some of the other guys touch with the front of the hands.
Yeah.
I think he said, yeah, like he goes touch with the back of your hand, because if you're gonna go like that and touch something sharp, you're gonna mess up these fingers here. But if you do it at the back, it's not too bad. And I was like, oh shit, man, this man went like above and beyond. And then I watched I'm watching it, and you see him do it, and I was like, oh, shit, man, this guy goes through and through with it.
I need to watch that back and see.
Yeah,
yeah,
madness, man.
Yeah, the guy's on fire, and I hope he continues to give us what we want.
Yeah, and then hopefully he doesn't come back to the superhero. I hope he doesn't.
I don't think he will.
I don't think he will. I think he's tired of it, isn't he?
I think, yeah, and also I think he said like he can't do, keep up with that level of like how big he has to be for certain roles. Like Drax, he can't be shirtless anymore because he's headed to like 55, or I don't know. No, not 55. No, he might be headed to. He's like 54. He's gonna be 54, I think. So
he's smaller than he was in WWE, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think that's age, though, isn't it? You naturally get smaller as you no matter how much you work out, you just naturally get smaller. Also, I think
right now he's like for knock.
For knock the cabin. But
he's like a big boy now, isn't he? I'm sure he's lost it now by now.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything of him, so I don't know.
No, I think he has lost it to a degree. He was at the BFI London Film Festival for Knives Out, so he looked a bit better.
Oh, did he? I need to check it out and see how he's looking.
But yeah, but no, it's good to see what he's doing, and it's good just the whole wrestling and film side. Dave is a huge now chapter in this story of this relationship with wrestling and film, and I think the world needs to take more notice of Big Dave.
Oh man, 100%. And if they haven't done it right now, but you know what? I don't think I don't think so many people have taken so much notice of him, because he's only had 5 minutes in Blade Runner. Maybe not everyone's interested in Blade Runner, seen Blade Runner.
Sure.
Dune, yeah, okay, wicked. He's in Dune. He has his parts, but not everyone tunes into those little actors. They focus on the main ones like Timothy and all these other guys that are in there, had the main roles, and it's like they don't really care. But now that he's in, I'm pretty sure from what we can tell in the trailer, he's the leading guy in Knock at the Cabin.
Yeah.
So it's kind of be like, okay, and is he I don't know exactly what the order is. He like, well, is it technically a main character in Knives Out?
One of, I don't think there is, apart from Daniel Craig. I don't think there is.
Apart from Daniel Craig,
yeah, there isn't a main character. Everybody else is just lumped in with the group.
Yeah, okay.
It's an ensemble. It's an ensemble film.
Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna have a big role in it, so that might also bump it up a lot more, and because that's a massive film. And then Knock at the Cabin with M. Night and have it being the main role, that's his full length. Him to show everyone that I'm gonna do this for the full movie.
Yeah. If that can be what we think it has the potential to be, it carries on this story, but that story still started with Blade Runner, because he got Knock at the Cabin because of Blade Runner. So it would all start with Blade Runner.
Yeah,
we'll see. Maybe we do a part 2 of this, but we talk about Knock at the Cabin instead. We'll see how.
It's gonna be sick. It's gonna be sick.
I look forward to it. I look forward to seeing what Big Dave does moving forward. Thank you, brother, for this. And
anytime, man.
All of those listening, cheeky plug, go get the new Film Hounds issue that's coming out end of this month or early November, and
get it right now.
Yeah, read my feature. And
how do they get it?
They can order it on filmhounds.co.uk. And you can find Filmhounds on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and you can follow the links there for the new mag and pre-order it now. So hopefully enjoy. That's a more articulate and very cleverly worded a rambling of Dave's game-changing role. This was our lovely little chat and about Big Dave. And obviously, because it was cool, like, because we watched it together and experienced it together. So it's kind of cool to talk about it 5 years later and be like, damn, look how far he's come.
Yeah, it's kind of like we watched it when he first set the tone, where he became an actor. And we were able to watch it.
And now he's there. Yeah. Cool, man. Thank you, brother.
It's all right. Anytime, man. No worries.
So that was the Wrestling and Film Podcast, episode 4, Dave Bautista in Blade Runner 2049. Peace.